All right, welcome to the All Access Entertainment Podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Bruen. Today it's part 2 with Thomas Carlucci here from World Wrestling Federation, World Wrestling Entertainment. Thanks for joining us as always.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for having me. And I'm here to, go through my 32 years experience with WWE. We had a great part 1, and I'm ready for part 2.
Awesome. Yeah, great conversation. Great to hear the behind the scenes stories and, your involvement. And you were such an important role, as we touched on, within the company and working directly under Kevin Dunn. And you had so many points to hit. And if you didn't hit those points at the right times or whatever it may be, it was certainly going to be a ripple effect. So you held it together for 32 years. I mean, that is impressive to be there, to be with any company for that long, but certainly in a high stress position.
Absolutely. And live television is live television. Now, I wasn't, perfect all the time. And, he would lace into you if something didn't go right. Very seldom, but he give you one of these, I gave you one. You have one job to do, and I got all these other jobs. You have one job to do. Let's make sure you do it right. That's the kind of stuff you would hear on the headset. Sometimes with some foul language, and you just deal with it. It's nothing personal. I'm a big guy. I can deal with it. I had no problem with it at all. He was a great friend, and he was a very fair boss to me. He was tough, and I'm not going to lie to you. He was a tough boss to work for. But if it wasn't for him and me proving myself, I wouldn't be where I am right now or have the career that I had with this company. And he's a big part of that.
Right. And Kevin clearly knew his role and
Oh,
what to do. I mean, look at the fantastic television that was produced for so many years.
the best.
And he was the right at the head of it. So
Yep. They were, we were ahead of a lot of the curve. Our graphics were second to none. I mean, Vince didn't have no problem in spending money on equipment. I mean, we redid our facility here and put all new audio suites. Jim Johnson, the music guy back in the day, was a friggin' genius. Uh, had cherry wood floors for sound, and I mean, he got the top of the line of everything. They made tons of money off of that music, and it was the best music ever, not like you have today. Big difference, dude. Big difference. And Jim reported to Kevin, and Kevin was very fair with that shit. Kevin ran everything, man. He ran everything from domestic to the TVs to the budgets to having employees under him, and he was just, Vince's right-hand man. He was more of a right-hand man than I would say than Shane and Stephanie. Vince trusted Kevin to the nth degree and say, should we do this or should we not do this? And if Kevin gave and Kevin had no problem giving his opinion because he was smart and he knew how to deal with it. And if he gave his opinion that he didn't want to do this with Vince, Vince would definitely agree with him and do that. So that's the kind of clout Kevin had.
right. Stamford, Connecticut, the Titan Towers. I would say the Main Street location was probably their most famous location over the years. They have had some smaller locations and some that they weren't at for very long. And of course, now they have the huge location
Oh.
there in Connecticut. But over the years, you were there for so long. You were there for different locations. Did you ever get into the Titan Towers? Any experiences there?
Offices were never there because I worked in TV production. We had our own TV production facility, which was on Hamilton Avenue here. It's now demolished now. It's gone. But because it was sold and everything. But I strictly worked in 120. I had meetings in the tower for live event marketing or with Michael Hayes going on stuff for international, or in the boardroom with Vince going over tours and international tours, and I'm responsible for that. And you sit in that boardroom and you got to answer some questions, man. You got to make sure you're spot on and you do what you got to do. And I was lucky enough to be in there with Kevin and a bunch of other people. But I went to the gym there. We had a second to none gym. I'd put that gym up against anything. They had a nice cafeteria, but we never went to the cafeteria. We used to have our PAs get our lunch because we were 24/7 here working at the production facility. And I was at 120 most of the time. Only when I had meetings is when I was in the tower.
Gotcha. Now, it might be a tough decision, but you've seen so much. You've been there for so many years. You know, top 3 matches of all time that you've witnessed over the span of your career. You've had a front row for all of this. Any stand out more than the others?
Well, Taker Shawn, the first one, that was outstanding. Any I know this is a tough one you're asking me. Anything that Eddie Guerrero did on a pay-per-view, phenomenal. What a storyteller, what a character, what a worker in the ring. What He was so entertaining. It was just unbelievable how much, charisma he had, and the way he worked in the ring and the way he worked with the boys. Anything by Eddie Guerrero, I'd have to say if I'm gonna go back in time a little bit, Hulk, uh, which I didn't do a lot of Hulk stuff, but I was around it. Anything that just the aura of Hulk and Vince together per se. Uh, no, it didn't even have to be a match, but them 2 working together is like it was unbelievable how Vince and Hulk and how he got what Vince's vision was and everything, and that's what made this company what it is today. But the superstars, I mean, I liked John Cena, wasn't the greatest worker, but entertaining in the ring. Either fans loved him or he hated him. I was a big fan of The Rock. I love The Rock, great guy, man. I did his first pre-tape in Lowell, Massachusetts. Never forget it. He cut a promo and I said, "Dude, you're gonna be a championship in a year." And he goes, "Thank you very much." And the next year he was IC champ. And he was a phenomenal guy, very humble. Even after um, he got big and went to Hollywood and left the company, but he would come back for pay-per-views and I'd be on the road. He'd come right up to me, "Tommy, how you doing?" I'm like, "You still remember me, right, Rock?" "Yeah, yeah, I do." And that's what kind of guy he is. So Rock, entertaining wise in the ring, one of the biggest, one of the best matches where a big turn happened was at uh, was it Toronto? It was
Oh yeah,
Rock and Hogan. Do you remember that? And
WrestleMania 18.
that's when they turned on him and they made Hogan the babyface. I was
Right.
there for that. That was
Going into that
incredible.
Sky Dome,
Yeah.
I don't think anybody knew the reaction that Hogan got. I mean, that was just unbelievable.
Yep. I was there for that.
And a question you probably hear all the time, but your Mount Rushmore of pro wrestling. You could look at it different ways, obviously, most successful or just personal favorites. Who do you think the top 4 are?
First and foremost is Hogan, because without Hogan, we wouldn't have anything. Besides Vince being the marketing machine, I don't care what anybody says. Without Hogan, this company doesn't go. I'm not in this production facility. WrestleMania 3 bought this production facility on 120 Hamilton Avenue. That's when I got my job there right after WrestleMania 3, which was in 87, I think it was. And I started in January of 88. Hulk Hogan, I'll go Ric Flair, uh, Stone Cold, because what he did during the Attitude Era, how he helped us get out of the doldrums and do it, you know, right and bury and finally burying WCW. I think Steve was a big part of that. And I got to go with The Rock. I mean, I know there's Bret Hart out there and there's Shawn Michaels and everything like that, but I'm working on business wise and entertaining. I mean, wrestling wise, obviously, I'd put Shawn in there and I would put Bret Hart in there, but I'm talking about making money, man. These guys made money. Ric Flair made money for NWA. He made money for WCW. Hogan turned the whole business around. Steve Austin brought on the Attitude Era. The Rock helped carry it from that point on also. So those are my top 4 right there. And there's a lot of other ones. I love Taker. I got along with Taker. Great, great character. Probably one of the greatest characters ever. Greatest entrance music ever in my eyes was Undertaker's, and him working with Jim Johnson with that. Uh, Taker's great, but That would be my Mount Rushmore right there.
And we talk about a lot of high stress situations, high stress job. When it comes to WrestleMania, you up the ante. It's the granddaddy of them all. So why don't you just walk us through WrestleMania, the full day? You get there. What happens next? How does your day go?
Well, on a typical WrestleMania, usually the production meeting is probably around 9 in the morning, and that's with, Vince up front with Kevin and the agents and all TV production, anybody, agents, producers, talent, producers that produce the matches, they're all there, and all TV production that's supposed to be there. That takes a couple of hours, and then you gotta do what you gotta do. Whatever things are gonna happen at WrestleMania, you gotta make sure you're set up for. If you're doing pre-tapes backstage, or if they're doing a gimmick match or something gimmicky outside the area, you got to make sure you're all prepared for that. You have the camera crew and stuff like that. For me, it was making sure the tables were set up on time, making sure we had the headsets working because it's our biggest pay-per-view of the year. Without headsets, people get their money back. WWE loses money, and I lose my job. No, just kidding. But that was the most important for me: headsets, monitors, make sure we had backups there. And then we had the international languages. In the beginning, it was just Spanish, and then we brought Spanish and German, and later on, we brought all those international announcers along. I was responsible for all those guys. We had the Japanese guys, the French guys, the Russian guys. Make sure their hotels were set. Make sure they were at the arena on time. Make sure, or the stadium on time, and be there for rehearsal. Big time need to be there for rehearsal because we go through where if it was Howard introducing or something like that, but it would be Michael Cole sitting ringside. Let's go to our international table. And then you start out with the Brazilians and the Russians and the Japanese and the French and the Mandarin guys and the Indian guys. And then they do all their on camera stuff to make sure it all looks right. The camera guys there, we're all set. Okay, now we're ready to go when the show starts. So it's all big time preparation. Anything changes on a rundown, you got to make sure you have the latest and most revised rundown that Michael Cole would get, and King would get, and the Spanish guys or any other announced team. You had to have the most update, and there'd be a PA running around with the rundowns for the show. We always got WrestleMania run down early because it was always done the night before, or they knew where they were going with stuff. But the final meeting was a Saturday night with Vince and all the writers, and Kevin would be in there, and then he would give it to the person who types up the show. Gives you the show rundown. We would always pretty much have a rundown for our 9 o'clock meeting. Any revisions that needed to be done, they would redo them and they would get them out to us. But I was one of the most important ones because I had the commentators. So I would get them first to make sure Michael had them, the Spanish guys had them, King had them. So when we do rehearsal, item 5, we're doing this, item 6. And if it's not there, off with your head. So it's a high intensity. You love it. And when it's there and you're sitting ringside and you're seeing it all get on, you're in love with it. I don't know how you couldn't be in love with it. The way WWE used to put on the shows with the pyro and the music and the stuff like that. So it's intense, but it's a good intense. That's what I mean. That's why I loved live television. I loved being part of every second of that.
Yeah. And when it comes to regular TVs, whether it's Raw, SmackDown, uh, someone in your position, what was the call time for you? What time did you have to arrive to the arenas?
Well, for Raw, we were it'd either be 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. But if it was SmackDown, when SmackDown was on Thursday nights, we'd shoot SmackDown on Tuesday. Our call time would be noon, 1 o'clock, because we were driving from Raw to the next city, and we weren't getting in that city for SmackDown to 1, 2 in the morning. So our call time was usually noon or 1 o'clock. Production meeting, know what we got to do. It's a post-produced show. It's not live. Back in the day, that's when it was first on Thursday nights. So it was a lot easier just to fly through stuff. They would do their commentary, and then Michael Cole lived locally. He lived in Jersey. If they needed him to come in and do some wild lines, which they were replacing commentary, he would come in on the edit day and do that with the guys who were producing SmackDown. So SmackDown was a lot easier because it was post produced and you could do a lot of fixes there. So live television's live. And then when it went live, you just did another day of TV and it was just like, okay, here we go. Let's do it.
Yeah. Any memories of Frank in audio? You probably sat close to him for so many years.
Bullock.
Yeah.
Frank Bullock. Oh, of course. He was my right-hand guy. We we had a great time together. He was a major ribber, ribbing everybody, and, he used to come at me like he was always pissed off, but he wasn't really pissed off, and I said, "You keep messing with me, Imma have my wife screw up your travel," because she did his travel, and, it was pretty funny. We had a great relationship, great guy, left the earth way too early, loved by everybody. Steve Austin loved him, uh everybody loved him. He was a great guy, worked his butt off, knew audio inside and out, was a great A2. He knew, the thing is we had a rhythm. He knew what my needs were. Like if I would give him the eye and look him over and like this, he would come right over and make sure, I would tell Michael Cole to take over while he's fixing Kings and you wouldn't even see it because we're not on camera. But I would say, Mike, just when I do that to Mike, I mean, you talk, Jerry's going to lay out because there was something wrong with his headset. Frank would be right over there, top notch, one of the greatest guys. I think his wife does something on TikTok now or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think she does. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
She says, "I'm the wife of a 20-year," and she doesn't give the name, but I know her. I know who she is. So she's doing a little podcast. I don't know what she's doing. It's on TikTok though.
Wow. So traveling can be grueling. When you're going from town to town, city to city, or country to country, for that matter. Did you have traveling buddies? Did you travel alone?
Well, usually I travel with the TV crew, back in the day because we were all living out of Connecticut. I would meet up with Michael. He was from Jersey. He wouldn't come here, but and coach and we would I would travel. We used to have to leave on a Saturday to travel for Raw on Monday just to save money for the company. That's when we were just starting out. A lot of guys fly day of now, so it's a little bit easier. But I had travel buddies, producers, other stage managers who work backstage, um, and we would get picked up here, brought to the airport, and off we were. In summer, spring, winter, it, it's a rat race, dude. After 2 years, you get really run down from the road, and it, it's uh, it's a challenge, but I've been everywhere. I mean, from Connecticut across to California and every state in between. Sometimes too much,
Right.
but that was part of the gig. I knew where I wanted to go with my career. I had to learn live television to get where I wanted to go and to show Kevin if I can learn live television and I'm already doing post production television, I can get where I want to go is to be a leader in the international department, and that's what happened. So I sacrificed for 6 years, missed a lot of kids stuff I missed here with my son and my daughter. She was a cheerleader. My son played baseball and missed a lot of Saturdays, man, in the summer where they'd be in the 3rd inning of a little league game and I gotta leave, and that kills me. That killed me. Oh, just going because you gotta get a pickup here at the studio, and we're going to, like, Detroit, and, like, man, I just wanna hang in my room. I didn't wanna go anywhere. It was tough. It was a re but it all paid off in the end, Joe. It paid off in the end big time for me.
Did you have favorite places to stop and eat? You're going to a particular city. You're like, oh man, we're going to be hitting this place, or did you have
Yeah,
some favorite spots?
we were in Chicago. There was a restaurant called Carlucci's.
Oh, they
And, we Kansas Kansas City, there was this restaurant where they had a grill inside there, and you'd go up there and barbecue your own meat. I thought that was phenomenal. Coach showed us that. Great place, great barbecue. I mean, Beale Street and, Nashville, Memphis, going to all these places, man, and just on WWE's dime, it's even better. So, they paid for all the food and everything, and you try to slip a couple drinks in there. They would get it once in a while. But, Carlucci's was great. I couldn't remember a place in Kansas City. And when we went west, man, I loved, I think it was In-N-Out Burger. I think that's there, and then Whataburger in Texas. I thought they were phenomenal places compared to what we had here, like McDonald's. So,
yeah.
but, we usually ate in pretty good steakhouses and stuff like that. So, But I always remember Carlucci's. I took the menu home. I put it up in my office. Pretty funny.
That's awesome. Why don't you tell us about your friendship? The coach, Jonathan Coachman. You've known him for so long. Now you're, his co-host.
Uh, Known him 25 years, excellent talent, one of the best, on-air talents you're ever gonna meet. If you're ever gonna do a panel show and and you need somebody to drive the bus, he's the man to drive the bus, and what I mean is you're sitting there and you're hitting each guy, Booker T or Jerry the King Lawler or whoever the case, you control that environment with the producer in your ear. Now, Kevin's not producing that show. There's another producer, but Coach was so good that he kind of self-produced himself. He was an excellent on-air talent. He ended up being a character. I think he's one of the only on-air talents that ended up being a character for WWE, meaning taking bumps in the ring. Vince loved him. He was a general manager for Raw. He became a really good character, really talented guy, excellent at radio, very knowledgeable about the business. He has a show now with Vince Russo called Coach and Bro, which is phenomenal. And then he's on Sirius. He does a show from 2 to 4 every day with different talent, and he's just doing excellent. And he's a big sports guy like I am. And he does a show called Coaching Company, trying to get it off the ground about sports and sports betting. But we also talk about sports, baseball, football, whatever, because he's very knowledgeable. He works for PGA. He does golf, and he also works for he's the Dana White of PFL, which is just getting off the ground, and he's the guy that kinda runs things over there. So, he works 3 jobs, and he works a lot of it out of his house. He has a studio in his house in LA. He has 2 great kids, uh, and he's a great guy, and we've been friends for over 25 years.
Awesome. And you've must have seen so many celebrity interactions over the years, WrestleManias and other pay-per-view events. What are some of your greatest celebrity interactions? Have you had any good ones over the years?
My greatest celebrity interactions, I'm a huge Giant fan. Lawrence Taylor was wrestling, and he would come to the studio. We had a ring set up in the warehouse area where him, Bam Bam, and Pat Patterson would meet sometimes on Saturdays, and somebody had to be there to greet him. Kevin knew I was a big Giant fan. LT would come with his people, and I would let him in. But the thing is, he was a huge golf nut, as you know. I don't know if you know that or not, but he's a huge golf guy. And we were in an open area where our studio was, and we had a building way far. He would he would get his golf clubs out uh, before he would go in the building. He just want to do, and he hit golf balls over the building. Other thing, I'm like, "Are you kidding me? This is Lawrence Taylor doing this?" Bill Parcells, when Bill Parcells quit the Giants and he ended up being I don't know if you remember, he was a commentator for NBC. He did his audition here with Don Criqui,
Yes.
and, that was kayfabe. Nobody knew about it. They didn't want it in New York. They didn't want nobody to know about it. Nobody's gonna know about WWE. Vince was friends with Ebersol. They set it up. I got to be an A2. I put the mic on him, and I met Bill Parcells because 'cause I'm a huge Giant fan. Great guy. It is just that was one of the things. Meeting Mike Tyson, uh, one of the nicest guys you ever wanna meet, when he was involved with Austin and stuff like that. Those are probably my greatest ones. Tyson's, Taylor, and Parcells.
Very nice. Doesn't get any better than that. I mean, that's Tyson. I think
Nope.
was probably the most successful celebrity they ever brought in. I would say.
Yeah, probably. I would say so, yes.
What are your memories on Joey Morella, longtime referee with the WWF?
I I had no relationship with Joey. I know I remember when he passed because Gorilla was just devastated and Gorilla was never the same, but I had never any interactions. I wasn't on the road at the time. Um, he passed, I don't know what year, but I was still in the studio. He never came here. He was always a road guy. I heard he was a major ribber also. Funny stuff. Kyoto would tell me stories. Obviously, Kyoto grew up with the family. Him and Chimmel grew up with Joey. So I would only hear stories like that. So didn't know the guy, but I know how much he meant to Gorilla, and Gorilla changed after that, after he passed away.
Certainly be remembered for, well, a great career overall, but Andre and Hogan, one of the greatest matches of all time, and he was right there in the center of it. So
That's right.
iconic. A lot of fan festivals over the years. Axxess, they changed the name a couple times. Um, Now it's WWE World. What has your experience been there over the years? Have you had any duties that you've had to be a part of for that?
I never worked Access, which I'm glad because we had enough to do what we were doing. Never worked Access, went to a couple of fan festivals and said, I'm glad I'm not part of this. It was crazy. The refs were because they used to have matches and stuff like they hated it because they knew WrestleMania was coming and they used to do kayfabe rehearsals in the hotel of the matches and the refs would have to be there. So being from the hotel and jump to Fan Fest, I didn't have to do any of that. Unless we had a different crew TV production wise, but that I had nothing to do with that stuff that they would bring along to shoot any of that fan fest stuff to do packages later on for it. Phenomenal stuff, but just nerve wracking working that thing 6 or 8 hours. I'm glad I didn't have to do that.
Yeah, it's a long day, a long weekend.
Yes. Yes.
So, what's your greatest keepsake? Is there anything over the years that you've maybe accumulated from your time there within the company? You still have it to this day. You cherish it. Anything that sticks out?
My greatest keepsake, and I don't even know if is that I was Gorilla's pallbearer, and I had the newspaper clippings from it, from Pennsylvania, 'cause there's a picture there, and you see me there walking with the a picture of me with the casket. That's probably my greatest keepsake, and also when the building came down, because I lived, like, 5 minutes from the TV production, I wanted a part of the marble, and we went over there, me and my wife went over there when they were coming down and said, "Look, we worked here and we just want some memories because there was so much history in that building and watching it come down and the history and the people that came in inside and outside of that building is just amazing. Just it was a shame to watch it go down. So I have like a little marble piece that I'm going to have put in a keepsake thing, and that was part of the WWE building. Plus a brick. I have a brick from that too.
Excellent. Now, what would you say? How was the pay structure in a position like yours? Was it something where you would get paid, per show, per pay per view? Did you get a bonus if you're doing a pay per view? How did that all work?
Got no bonuses for pay per view, but if you were senior level talent, you were in what they call MIP, Management Incentive Program, which I was in when I became a director. If the company made money, you would get a bonus every year. Okay, so that's the incentive is to make you work harder in your department to make more money. It's going to help you out in the long run. So you got a yearly salary. I mean, when I started in shipping, I was making 25,000 a year. That's back in '88, and I got overtime. And then when I switched over to TV production and being a PA, it was 28,000 a year with overtime. So your 2 years of PA, your second year, you make about 32,000 plus overtime. And then you become an associate producer 1, and that brings you up to 48, 45, still with some overtime. And then 2, once you get over 50, the overtime stops. So if you were on the road and you're an associate producer, you're not getting paid for that. So if you were a PA on the road, you would make some pretty good money going on the road because you get paid for all those hours.
Right.
So, but once you hit that level of salary, and then every year you would just, depending on the company, my last 15 years, I made really good money with the company. I got bonuses. I got when the company went public uh, uh, in 2000, or I think it was 2000. Uh, they gave me 35,000 shares. So I had to wait till it matured, but it took 7 years, but I wasn't going anywhere. So, and then near the end, instead of me getting a raise, I was making really good money. Kevin would give me 4 or $5,000 worth of stock, which I would take in a minute because I was really making get great money, and I was getting a bonus too. Uh, so the structure at they pay very well, but you got to work for it.
Yeah. You've been there for almost every era of the WWF, WWE. What's
Yep.
your favorite era? 80s, 90s, 2000s?
Oh, definitely be the Attitude Era. Definitely me being on the road and watching those grow and then wipe out WCW and then Vince buying WCW, being a part of all that, that was definitely I mean, I liked wrestling in the '60s, and I loved Bruno Sammartino. I mean, when he went in the Hall of Fame, I couldn't wait to get a picture with him. I usually don't mark out for stuff like that, excuse me, but I did for Bruno.
Yeah.
Took a picture with him in the entranceway. I have it up in my house here. But definitely the Attitude Era. It was crazy, nutty, a lot of crazy stuff went on, and, it was good to see that we got over on WCW.
Yeah. And what was the internal experience? I guess with WWF announces they're getting the F out, so they're becoming WWE. You have the World Wildlife Foundation kind of taking over that role. What was your initial reaction with that?
Uh, the guy who came up with that was David Sahadi, "Get the F out," and it was a great campaign. It was smart. Uh Vince didn't wanna give up WWF because 'cause it's been around a long time, but they were around before Vince, and Vince was a stubborn man, and Vince hated to lose. He lost that one, and then they had to come up with a campaign. I thought it was brilliant, and WWE and I think it's better for the company now more than ever. World Wrestling Entertainment instead of World Wrestling Federation. Entertainment sounds a lot better, but at the time, we're we had to do a really ramp up that campaign to make sure they knew who we were, and we made sure that happened.
And what are some of your personal memories of Owen Hart, the King of Hearts, the late great?
Major River, backstage, great guy, one of the nicest guys you'll wanna meet. Him and Bulldog are really tight. Um, they traveled together, they did everything together, but one of the nicest guys you ever wanna meet. If I needed pre-tapes for Canada or anything like that, he was always accommodating, never was an asshole, funny, great guy. I wasn't there the day he, fell and came down. I was there the next day. I was at the Raw in Detroit, which was probably worse than what happened in Kansas City with all the boys being upset and everything, but I wasn't there. I had a family thing I had to take care of, and, I'm glad I wasn't there, quite frankly, to see to see what happened there, and, just major talented, uh, funny, just a regular nice guy who, tragically died.
And when it comes to, again, a little bit more of the pay structure in your position, flights, hotels, rental cars, was any of that covered?
Flights and hotels and cars were covered by WWE. Yep.
Okay.
Everything. Yep. Now, you had to do an expense report when you we used to have, we had our own corporate card, American Express. So I had an American Express corporate card. I charge everything on there, and then I would do an expense report. When the bill came, I would pay it, and then when the bill came, I would pay for it, but I would get reimbursed by the company. So, you gotta just make sure you did it right. You didn't, charge for a six-pack of beer, or they don't pay there was rules and regulations, but hotels were by the company, your car by the company, food by the company.
And was that
Pretty
just
good deal.
for, yeah, absolutely. Was that just your position or was that
No,
also
that was the road
talent?
for if you're not talent, TV production, uh all if you work TV production, you were on the road, that's what you got. Not sure about the boys. I'm not sure if I think they picked up the hotel. I'm not sure. I
Yeah,
never got into it with those guys because we never wanted them to know what we were getting. If they
right.
found out that we got all of that, they'd be pretty honked off. But
Sure.
they were making a lot more money than we were, and the deal was set by Vince with the boys. Ours was just a HR thing, which was, you expect us to pay for hotels and everything, and we're working for the company? No. So, we had our own corporate most of us had our own corporate I had my own corporate card.
And what are your memories of another gentleman who worked in merchandising? He was also a ring announcer for quite some time, Bill Dunn.
Uh, n nothing I never worked with him, believe it or not. I worked with Chemmel,
Oh, yeah.
but, I never worked with Bill Dunn. I didn't know anything I didn't know much about him. I hate to tell you that, but, I'm a blank on Bill Dunn. I mean, I worked with Kimmel a lot and,
Yeah.
of course, Howard, but never Bill Dunn. He would I can't remember a TV if he was there for us or it was Kimmel and Finkel with me, so
Yeah, Bill
no,
was
I'm
there
sorry.
from 88 to 98. He did mostly house shows and Superstars tapings, and, he also did WrestleMania 10 as well. He kinda split it with Howard a little bit.
Is that where, 10 where Howard had the toupee?
Yeah.
Where he yeah.
Yep.
Now I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was in Madison Square Garden.
Exactly.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. No, not a really big relationship with him.
And when it comes to venues, what are some of your favorite venues that you've been to over the years?
The Madison Square Garden is first for me, the Garden. Uh, Believe it or not, I'm gonna say this, and I'm a football fan, but, Dallas' stadium, AT&T Stadium was outrageous. One of the best, the way it was set up, the look, everything, it was just amazing. Uh, just an amazing stadium, and where the San Francisco 49ers play, we were the first show to be there before that stadium opened, and uh that was an amazing stadium. Uh, the one in Orlando was just the shits. That was terrible. It was in a bad area. You you drive in your car, you had to put your head down, and
Yeah.
that was a terrible venue, but, arena-wise, I love Madison Square Garden. I love the Boston Garden because 'cause I'm a Celtic fan. Really weird. I'm a Yankee Giants Celtic fan. That's pretty weird.
Right.
So, but I like history and I love the Celtics and I'm a big Larry Bird fan. So I loved being there. The Garden, uh, the Honda Center, it's in Anaheim. That was nice. Um, I like the old school in Chicago. We were Rosemont, where the planes would fly right over there. That was a nice arena, old arena, really nice. We didn't do United Center because Vince only did really one building that was unionized, and that was Madison Square Garden. And when you work in a union building, the money is outrageous
I
because
was
you gotta
curious about that because they went there
yeah,
for SummerSlam '94, and then you never really saw them there again.
yeah. Um, yeah, it's union. I mean, you couldn't, if you're in a pre-tape room and you gotta plug a light in, you had an electrician there. No joke. He
Wow.
had to plug it in. Yeah, that's how strict it was. Yep. And then if you do overtime there, they're getting paid big money.
Yeah.
The Spence for Garden, I mean, Vince never wanted to lose the Garden because Vince Senior was there and Vince would pay the money. I mean, I bet you it was triple the amount of a TV, a regular TV in a regular arena. I mean, you average out the TVs, the live TVs, they're probably between 240 and $250,000 a week. Figure that out
Wow.
for Raw. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, that's insane.
It's not a lot when you're making $500 million a year now, but
True. They're doing okay.
yes.
Any personal memories of Lex Luger or the Lex Express era?
Uh, Lex, he wasn't the greatest guy for me to get along with. He just had a little bit of an attitude. I didn't work a lot with the Lex Express or anything like that. That was not me. That was more of a promotions, the guys working in promos and stuff like that. But, a lot of people tell me he was not easy to work with. That's what I knew. I think he's totally different now because in the situation he's in right now. But I think when he was on top, you knew when he was on top, when he was a narcissist and all that stuff like that. He was, I heard he was tough to work with. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
And what are your thoughts on the lost art of tag team wrestling and of the manager role? You know, it seems like they're not as prominent as they once were in the '80s and '90s and so colorful. And on the flip side of that, who would you put as the greatest tag team in your opinion and your favorite manager?
I loved Albano back in the day. He was a little bit out of control, but no doubt Bobby the Brain Heenan for me. I knew Bobby really well because they come in and did challenge videos with Gorilla and him, and he used to come in the studio every month, and he was a great guy. We had a great relationship. But showman, nobody better than Bobby Heenan. Grand Wizard was great back in the day, very funny. I remember Wild Red Berry, Captain Lou, Freddie Blassie, all great. But Bobby Heenan, the wit of him and just things rolling off his tongue and everything like that. He was the best. My favorite tag team. That's a great question. For me, I would say the Road Warriors. I would say them for me. I mean, there was I mean, I love the Valiant Brothers back in the day. I love their gimmick. I love what they did, acting like they were rich, the blonde bombshell guys. I thought they were great. But if we're moving the clock up, the Road Warriors, the pops those guys used to get when we were ringside were just incredible. Um, who else? I mean, I'm trying to think of other tag teams. I like the New Day for if we're moving up a little bit like that. I think New Day just changed everything when they took on their role. It didn't work out in the beginning, but in the end, I mean, they're still around and they're still very entertaining.
Yeah. And what advice do you have to somebody that's maybe looking to get into the company now? Or I know you said you have to have pretty much an extensive background, but just advice to somebody that's looking to get into the business.
I think you got to do you got to have a communication background. It doesn't have to be a school like Syracuse. Doesn't have to be Quinnipiac. It could be any school that has communication where they have some TV production. Get involved with that. Uh, when you're doing stuff and you want to do communication, make sure you take a writing course because writing is huge. When people see that you've taken a writing course and writing for television or writing for anything, that is huge on a resume. Um, but first and foremost, get an internship. It doesn't have to be with WWE. It could be with any. There are so many outlets now, Joe, between social media and Paramount Plus, Showtime, all these places. Just having internships. Get an internship under your belt to make sure this is what you really want to do. And then it's really hard to get in WWE because now you have to go through TKO. And you see something, send your resume in and I would be a stickler. I would hit them up every other week and say, "That's how you get people to notice you. If you just send a resume in and if you wait for an answer, you may not hear nothing. But when you hit them back, those HR recruiters know, oh, okay, Joe, he's really interested in doing this internship. Let's bring him in. Let's have a phone call. Once you pass the phone call, then they bring you in. So that's what I would tell anybody who wants to do TV production, communication, or anything like that. Get involved at your local college, get an internship somewhere, do a writing course, and go from there.
And what would you say is your favorite WrestleMania, your overall WrestleMania?
Wow.
Some have iconic matches, but maybe just overall, bell to bell.
I was at a lot too, man. I did a lot of them. I did 3. No, I did 4, 5. I didn't do 6, 7, 8. Oh, wow, that's a tough you know what? I never even thought about it. I love the whole first Rock Cena thing because there was some heat with those guys. Uh,
Was
I
that
love
Miami?
the Huh?
Was that Miami?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the first one, right?
Yes.
In Miami, yeah. Um, I loved the I love the Taker Shawn first. That was WrestleMania. Was that 25?
It was.
Yes, that was I love that one.
Yep.
That was probably my favorite. That one
Awesome.
right there.
Can't
I've
go
been
wrong
to a
with
lot
that.
of them. Yeah,
It's a big
great.
one.
Yep.
I feel like if you're a
I liked you know what else I liked? The Flair retirement match with Michaels. That was in Orlando. I don't
24,
know what 24, I think it was.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that was
feel like
great.
if you're
That
if
was
you're an aspiring wrestler, you may wanna watch The Undertaker
Yeah, you
Shawn
may
Michaels.
wanna watch that, and I was ringside for that.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Trump Plaza, the host of WrestleMania 4, 5. Any memories of those years?
I was actually a PA, and I was with Gorilla. I followed Gorilla around, and I was backstage and everything. And then he had to do what he had to do, and I just sat in the crowd and watched the show. That was it, just to learn the experience of TV production. And Kevin let me go, and I ended up being with Gorilla. Uh, and that's what I did. I sat there and observed that show, and it was amazing. 4 and 5, and good stuff happened there, and I got to meet a lot of people backstage and everything, and that was probably my first experience at WrestleMania. It was 4 and 5.
Wow. And how about the Manhattan Center? It's kind of an iconic spot. It's a small location, but just an iconic spot in the history of pro wrestling.
Iconic, and I was there for when it was them and ECW. Do you remember that when
Yeah.
they were going against WWE? I was there for that. I was there for a couple of shows. An iconic building, small, um, but when you didn't have the money that WCW had, and the company didn't have it, that was the appropriate place to be. It was a quaint setting, but it worked. It worked for us. So I loved it. I had no issues with it, and an easy commute. Take a train in and out.
Right, exactly. I
Yep.
heard it was a tough venue for getting the ring into the building physically.
Yeah, they had to take an elevator.
Yeah.
That was bad.
Yeah, it's a long day.
Yep.
Ed Cohen. Any memories of Ed Cohen, the man that would book the towns?
Yeah, I knew Ed. Cigar smoker, don't cross him. He'd bite your head off. But we got along. Again, I had a great relationship with him. He was the live event guy. He was Vince's right hand man back then, and all around great guy, heavy cigar smoker, I remember that. Um, but, he got along with, all the appropriate guys that he needed to get along with, and he knew his crap, man. He knew his stuff about live events. He was good at it.
Who would you say was the easiest to get along with in the way of talent relations? You know, we've seen Jim Ross in that position, Johnny Ace, of course, Bill Watts, J.J. Dillon.
I would say JJ. I got along with JJ fine. JJ Dillon was great.
Yeah.
I had no issues with him at home. Now on the road, we had producers. I was great friends with Jack Lanza. Black Jack Lanza, he was phenomenal. Tony Gurria, Rene Goulet. I'm going back old school, man.
Oh, yeah.
Chief Jay Strongbow, got along with all those guys, and obviously Gorilla. But uh, JJ was a really, really cool guy.
Any memories of the Golden Boy, Arnold Skolden, who would,
Oh my God, yes.
and
He
he
used to ride the
remained with the company for so long, or at least would,
yes.
be there.
He smoked those little guinea stinkers and could drink anybody under the table. He used to rib me all the time because my wife sometimes would come on the road and he would say, "Hey, Tom, I didn't know you brought your sister on the road. Like she looks so much younger than you and everything like that." I'm like, "Come on, Arnie." Yeah, we used to ride. We rode in the car, and he was the money guy back in the day
Yeah.
with him and Hebner. That's when the boys used to get advances, and the line would be out the door for the boys to get advances. So, yeah, he handled all the money, and Vince trusted him to the nth degree. Great guy, Arnie Skolin. His wife, beautiful wife, great, great, great stuff. Miss Arnie, big time.
And in closing here for part two, how do you want to be remembered? What do you want your legacy to be?
As a the legacy, excuse me, I'm sorry. As a person who earned everything that he got, worked hard, uh, never try to upstep anybody, respected everybody. I treated everybody the way, uh, I wanted to be treated. I was fair with everybody, no ego at all. We all worked hard. We all did what we had to do, and I just wanna be remembered as a hard worker and a dedicated, and I mean dedicated to this company, where I would lay my life on the line for this company back in the day. So I just wanna remember as a good guy, and I have that excuse me, the reputation there with all the people that work there. I think I have a great reputation there, and, not so much with the new school guys there because me and coach kinda sometimes crap on the product a little bit, and I don't think they like that. So, but as being the old school guy there, working with the guys that I worked with, just a really damn hard worker and earned everything that I got.
Well, Thomas Carlucci, thank you so much for being here for part two. Really appreciate you taking the time today, and thank you for all the time that you've put in, into the wrestling business. And it's people like you. If they're not there, things could go wrong, and
Yep,
it goes unnoticed sometimes, and it shouldn't be.
yep,
So, thank
yep.
you.
Thank you, sir, and thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Fans, thank you so much for joining us, the All Access Entertainment Podcast. Be on the lookout for Overtime, the bonus segment, in just a moment.